Okay, we are online now. Hello, hola.
Hello, hola, everyone.
Yeah, hello, hola, everyone. Well, welcome to Astro Night Life. I think we're supposed to, very relaxed and very, you know, but I just one thing in Europe, because you're not in Europe at this moment, we are suffering at a high temperature. And UK just announced the next Tuesday and Wednesday, we will have temperature around 40
Oh,
degree.
wow.
Oh yeah, even in
In
UK,
London,
even
we're gonna
London, in
burn because
London.
the houses there are not prepared for hot
Not
weather.
prepared for hot weather. So yeah, we're going to toast. We're going to get
You are.
toasted.
Oh, God, this is global warming. I mean, the scientists have been telling us about this for ages. Now we see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think we need to see it. We need to see it. Well, that you know what? Because I don't think we are here to talk about the
No.
global warming. But I did talk about that this afternoon, to be honest, because this afternoon I was working with a very famous financial astrologer, Christine Skinner, and we working on the kind of astrology and the property market, and she did mention
Mm.
about that. So how about Alejo? Tell us what we going to do today while I am, sending the link to our audience.
Well, today the idea is we have been studying the signs, we have studied some of the planets, and on the 10-minute astrology podcast, we have been trying to see how we combine them. Right?
Yeah,
We've been
yeah.
thinking about the myths of the different signs and planets, and then we were thinking also about the idea that each sign is either cardinal, fixed, or mutable, and it's either fire, air, earth, or water.
Mm-hmm.
And you can apply this to a planet by sign, right? So
Mm.
the idea is to start putting things together. So for the moment, you know a few planets. You know the Moon, the Sun, Mercury, Venus, and I think Mars also. Um, so you know a few planets which are psychological functions, and then you also know we've also seen all of the signs, if I remember. Did we get to
Yeah.
see Pisces or not yet?
Uh, no, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
No,
We're almost
not
there with
yet.
all of the signs.
Nearly there.
Uh, Nearly there. But you already know most of the signs, so you know that why do we see what are these two elements. So basically it's like when you write a sentence in your language, you need to learn you need to learn the nouns, you need to learn the verbs, you need to learn the adjectives in order to create a whole sentence, right?
Exactly.
So
Yes.
the planet is either the noun or the verb. It's either the one who's taking the action, I mean it's the action itself, or the character that's doing the action, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
the sign is how the planet is doing whatever action the planet is
Mm-hmm.
doing. So
Yep.
basically we need to combine the two.
Okay.
What is, let's say if it's Mars, it's defending, and then if it's, let's say, Aries, it's in a brave, courageous way. So that's
Mm-hmm.
how you defend yourself. So this is what we need to
Sure.
do now. We need to start kind of making it all together to create a sentence, a
Yes.
description.
Yes. But it's quite interesting because coincidentally, this week I also starting in the Chinese program. When I'm teaching in my school, I also started training my student discussion about between planet in sign, and also at
Ah,
the same time talk a little bit about a house. So students say, are we supposed to integrate planet in sign and planet in the house? I say yes. Eventually, we need to do that, but let's do step by step. Let's do planet
yes,
inside and then planet in house. And when we are familiar with both, we can try to put them together and integrate them together. But before that, let's just practice like we learn in language, when I study French or Spanish or even English. You have the vocabulary, and then you have to learn how to put the vocabulary together correctly.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, today we have a case to study, right?
Yes, we have a case. We have a chart
We
to
have a
show you.
chart. So we have a chart. To be honest, I'm quite kind of a fan of him. Well, to be honest, when I was little, I don't know about him. So I think we all know another person who kind of take advantage of this person's job, and we all think that
Mm,
one is the greatest person. And when we grew up, we just, oh, that one just a good businessman. But this
Yeah.
one is a really genius. And not even everyone talk about, when everyone heard about his name, will get so excited because they are not thinking about him. They're talking about another thing. They talk about car. Tesla. Okay, so let's go to see chart because it will be interesting if you know a little bit about astrology language. Let me say, say sun sign or something, and you will say, how come? How come this person is this sign? Well, there is not just the sun in our chart. Let's go to see our chart. Here we are. Today, our
Nikola
character.
Tesla.
Nikola Tesla, I really like him. More I know about him, I just feel he's a little bit geeky, weird, but interesting person. What do you think?
Yeah, I also think so. Yeah. I mean, if you have
Yeah.
to be that smart, you might be probably a little bit weird.
Ye-
I mean, he
ye-
was out of his time. His mind was out of his time. Come on, yeah.
yes. Yes, I agree. I agree. Yes, if you are very different from the other people, and from the chart we can see something stand out and something pretty interesting. But we don't
You're
go
getting
that far.
excited. Yes, let's go
Yeah,
to
let's
yes.
go step by step. My first question is, Alejo, how can a genius has a sun in Cancer? Oh my God.
Yeah,
I didn't mean Cancer should not be genius, but it's not a sign you are usually related to some a kind of invention or related to someone who is like a very creative, right?
exactly. Well, it could be someone very creative, I think, with Sun in
Uh-huh.
Cancer, but
Yep.
creativity comes from within, let's say. It's a, remember the sun is how you express yourself, who you are, who you want to be,
Mm-hmm.
your goals, what you want to, what you identify with, what gives you a sense of vitality, right?
Yep.
So if it's in Cancer, this is related to the inner world, to the world of
Mm-hmm.
emotions, to the world of
Ah.
feelings, to the world of imagination also. So it could be that through imagination you become very creative. It's true that maybe Cancer, it's a water sign, so it's harder to pin down that image
Mm-hmm.
and make it impactful and real in the world, like
Yeah.
take it out there. And we will see some other aspects of his chart that will give him the tools to do that, to be able
Mm-hmm.
to verbalize it and do something about it. But
Mm-hmm.
for the moment, we can say that he finds vitality. He feels alive when he's connecting with his inner world, when he's connecting with
Mm-hmm.
his images, his emotions, his intuition.
Mm-hmm.
And something very interesting also is that Cancer might have to do with the idea of belonging, right? I feel alive when I
Mm.
belong. I feel that I can be myself when I belong to a
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
And his mom was a scientist, like a home version of scientist.
Yes.
She likes to research stuff. So there
Yep.
might be something of the identity of the scientist that came from
Ah.
her
Mm-hmm.
mom, like an emotional bond
Oh,
to her mom that kind of nurtured this identity.
yes, I think there are a few points. It's a very interesting. Like what I say is that in the beginning, I say a stupid things about how could this creativity related to cancer, and you remind me. Yes, there's one point, and it's a very important with water sign. Their imagination is somehow it could be a very important point. For example, I think we all know the Albert Einstein. He is a Piscean. He's a Pisces.
And I
This
think his
is
Cancer
an
rising also.
I think so. So this is also another water side to apply the creativity about imagination and then maybe make into the physical world or something, And I think it's very interesting. And you mentioned about a mother for a son in cancer, mother or the one who caretaker would be play an important role in their life. I think this is pretty important because I remember you told me a little story, quite different, quite important about Nikola Tesla's mother, right?
What did I tell you? I don't remember.
It's about the mother is a kind of a
But she was a scientist at home. Like she
yeah.
was doing like her own experiments at home. So probably
Yeah.
he grew up looking like playing with her, doing this kind of scientist. She didn't have any education. She couldn't read.
Yeah.
She used to memorize poems, but she couldn't
Yeah.
read. But she liked to experiment, and so he probably felt identified with that. And also
And
was thinking, sorry,
yeah, no, go on, go on.
Cancer is a cardinal sign. So
Yeah.
also Sun in Cancers, I mean, it's a Sun in cardinality. It means that they are driven. This my
Mm,
identity is pushing me to be something, to do something about who I am. And he
yeah.
did. I think he did have this quality of trying to pioneer in some way.
Yes, yes. Although we couldn't see it, but it's kind of very interesting, this kind of a driven power and also inherited from parents, from mother, most likely because a kind of a self-made scientist and working a lot of experience at home and try to create something. That is a very important role, I think, for someone who has such power creativity in his life. But when we talk about mother, we probably will think about the moon in the traditional role, in the traditional
Yeah.
mother related to moon. But nowadays could be a caretaking, doesn't matter about the gender or sex. So this moon in Libra, because we usually try to make a difference. It's like a sun in Cancer is like someone who caretaking, someone who see the feeling is very important. But how about the moon in Libra? How we interpret that?
So the moon is what makes us feel safe, right? And our emotions. And
Mm-hmm,
Libra is an air sign. So
mm,
it's much more about being rational, being able to
mm-hmm,
think about
mm-hmm,
stuff, like taking a distance, being trying to be objective. So
mm-hmm,
it's interesting again. So if we start picturing like this home in which he was in, he might have seen his mom like a smart
mm-hmm,
woman, and also a
mm-hmm,
nice one with the moon in Libra. That's also again the idea of art, beauty, balance, right? It's a
mm-hmm,
person who feels safe, and he a person who feels nurtured in a beautiful world, right? The world
mm-hmm,
should be beautiful and nice and harmonious, right? For a moon
mm-hmm,
in Libra.
mm,
Um, so it's interesting about like, yeah, maybe he also had like aesthetic mind,
mm-hmm,
aesthetic approach to inventions.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think this moon is pretty interesting because as a sun in Cancer more focused on feeling and in the world, or maybe blending a little bit of imagination. But the moon make him feel like a need of a communication, relation, and related to other people, and also rational mind. Try to it bring another layer into his life, and with a rational mind. And this, I think, this is pretty important because if we only focus on sun sign, you will never understand. But now we have the moon as a air sign coming. There is things related to this kind of communication and a rational mind. It's pretty interesting, especially. I mean, we haven't talked about house yet, but this moon is. I couldn't help. And forgive me, in the sixth house. So it's like it's practicing in everyday life. Okay, how about we move on to another very important planet in his chart, Mercury?
Yeah, I was thinking also about Mercury. So here you see Mercury is in Gemini.
Yes.
And we said Mercury is how we think, it's how we talk. And again, Gemini is an earth sign. So his way of thinking is rational again, it's
Mm-hmm,
abstract, and it's by
mm-hmm,
gathering information and trying to make sense of the information, like gathering data, I would say.
mm-hmm,
So it's like, and this is how he thinks. He doesn't think in an emotional way. He thinks in a smart, abstract,
mm-hmm,
objective way. This is
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
how he tries to understand reality, and
mm-hmm,
that might have been the key to being able to do something creative with all of his imagination. I mean, instead of not something creative, instead of I would say instead of doing something creative that it's artistic, that it's kind of painting or music or something like that, what he's doing is using his rational mind. So
mm-hmm,
he's channeling it into to doing something more scientific, perhaps. It could also
mm,
have been, maybe he could have been a writer, I don't know, with
mm,
this
could be.
Mercury, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes,
But there's this
I
idea
agree.
of the mind that can gather data, can
Mm,
analyze data, and can
mm-hmm,
have information, can deal with information.
mm. I think this Mercury play a super important role in his chart because if we have like very quick scan in his chart, this Mercury is the only should be the only one planet in the its ruling sign, which play a kind of it's an advantage in his chart. It's kind of a have like a little bit more advantage than the other planet. I didn't want to say it's the best one, but it has comfortable place. This Mercury in its own sign, so it's like this Mercury can express itself comfortably. But it's very interesting because Mercury in Gemini and in third house really emphasize all kind of communication and the study and the focus on the and the relationship relating to other people. And I think I think these places also have like a kind of apply his mind into the day-to-day life, everyday's life, and
Yes,
to make things useful, to make things more practical and useful. This is a very interesting Mercury, and if we go a little bit further, I don't want to go there, but if you analyze this Mercury's aspect, that would be more fun. That would be a lot of things we can talk about it, but
exactly. Yeah,
I have to hold it back because
yeah.
we just use this as a case to to interpret about how we make interpretation about the Mercury in Gemini.
And I would add with this Mercury that
Mm-hmm,
it's a quick Mercury. It's versatile. It's
mm-hmm,
a Mercury that can adapt, can change. It doesn't get
mm-hmm,
stuck with one idea because
mm-hmm.
those are the qualities of Gemini. So Gemini is the idea of versatility, of
Yeah.
being, of changing, adapting,
Mm-hmm,
and gathering the information. Right. So his way of thinking is
mm-hmm,
versatile. Is not fixed. He's a person
mm-hmm,
who can think in new ways, who can
mm-hmm,
adapt his train of thoughts, and
mm-hmm.
that's also a sign of his geniality, probably.
Yeah. So let me summarize. So we talked about it so far. So Nikola Tesla has a son in Cancer. So what is important for him could be his relationship with his mother, that or his sense of belonging, and also make him feel powerful or alive is about this Cancer quality of a feeling and the imagination to bring it into life. But the moon talking about what he needs and what he doing in the everyday life and his feeling. But that is more rational way about the feeling, about express his feeling, about his everyday life, and what he really needs is like a communication and related to another person, contact with another person. When we talk about the Mercury, this is his mind and how he expresses himself and his mindset, what he think. And this is in Gemini, so it's kind of adopt to everyday's life and make it not really fixed because this is a mutable sign. So it's kind of make it more flexible and make it like moving around and collecting data is quite important. So let's move on to the Venus because his Venus also in Cancer. What's different between Sun in Cancer and Venus in Cancer?
So with Venus in Cancer, Venus is what you consider valuable, what it's important. What's important in the
Mm-hmm,
sense what has a sense of worth to you. So that's why you're attracted to those qualities, right? Because for you,
mm-hmm,
that's where there's value, and
mm,
it kind of it's supporting the sun, right? Because it's this idea
mm,
that what's valuable for him is to be loved, to be taken care of, or maybe
mm-hmm.
for him to take care of other people. But what's
Ah,
valuable is the world of emotions, the idea of, this kind of creating a nest of love and taking care of each other and these kinds of
uh-huh,
things.
yes.
And it's quite interesting because this is very opposed, this is very different, not opposed, but this is very
Mm-hmm.
different to the moon in Libra. So he feels
Yeah.
safe in
Ah,
a rational, open, intellectual environment, but at the
mm-hmm,
same time, he holds value, he feels attracted to people who are nurturing, who are caring, who are sweet, who are
mm-hmm,
probably expressing their emotions, right? So
mm-hmm,
he might have to struggle to how to how to mix them together. And I'm starting to think that part of his geniality might have been a quest of for trying to be accepted and trying to be loved.
Ah, yes, that's a very, very interesting because this Venus has a very, very different way related to the moon because both are a little bit related about the relationship and connected with other people. But one is very rational and one is a very kind of a focus on feeling and a focus on, with like connecting with the things, belonging, the sense of belonging. But both planets are taking an important role in his life. And well, we haven't studied the aspect yet, but we will say they are connected to each other. So for him, maybe it takes a long time. If this is another person's chart, if this is a client's chart, I would say this person take a little bit longer time to merge these two sides of rationality and the feeling into his life together. Will take a little bit long time, but doesn't mean it's impossible.
No, no, that's
Yeah.
the quest. That's the
Yeah,
creativity.
that's a
Yes.
quiz. Yes. Well, finally, I think because our if an audience follow our podcast, that they at least they know the Mars. We have an interesting Mars, isn't it? Mars in Libra.
Mm. Yeah. So Mars is how we defend ourselves, right? And Libra is in a
Mm,
very diplomatic way, in a very
yes.
careful way, like he
Yeah.
paying attention to the other person. And this
Mm,
might have played out in his life. So it might have been hard for him to stand and to defend by his own right what he was
mm,
creating, what he was doing, because he might have
yeah.
been more prone to kind of adapt, to kind of not be confrontational, trying not to be too rush, too brute, to like it's a
Hmm.
kind of Mars in Libra is a kind of civilized way of action. It's kind of a diplomatic way of defending
Exactly.
yourself
Yes.
and doesn't like so much confrontation, I think.
Hmm. Yeah, especially the Mars in the Libra is not its own sign, especially is in the opposite side of its ruler sign. So this Mars, don't talk about too much, but let's just talk about the quality of Libra, because it's a very diplomat and a very soft and gentle, and it's like it doesn't like a fighting. It doesn't really like a violence or physics things. It probably through the rational mind, it probably through the negotiation or
Yeah.
how to working together to achieve something. But this Mars is unlike our what should I say, the usual view about a let's say this is my right, you have no right to do this or not. No, this Mars probably need a little bit, need another way, let me say that, or to protect himself, need another way to express himself, rather than no, here I am, I'm standing for myself, you have no right to do that. This is very difficult for him. And we know in his little story with another so-called genius, Thomas Edison,
Exactly.
and he kind of take advantage from Nikola Tesla.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
Nikola Tesla, well, kind of from the day one, I mean, working with him, or even in the future, he never, never kind of put a lot of effort to protect himself. That is an
Yeah.
interesting story. That is a very interesting story. It's not every Mars in Libra like this, but this is a very interesting case. He is kind
I
of
mean,
yeah.
it adds up to what we were saying before. This sense of wanting to belong, wanting to be
Mm.
loved. So you
Ah.
have this difficulty in creating confrontation, or this dislike, let's say, or
Mm-hmm,
creating confrontation, and
mm-hmm,
above that, or behind that, or below that, I don't know where to put it, but you
mm-hmm,
also have this goal and this appreciation
mm-hmm,
for
mm-hmm,
belonging and for being loved.
mm-hmm,
So it's very unlikely to.
mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard for a person like this to defend themselves very strongly.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, so I mean, we can continue talking about Jupiter and the Saturn, but I think let's wait a little bit. I think
Yeah,
because I think from Sun, Moon, and Mercury, Venus, and Mars, there's already a lot of need to digest. Need to digest. So what we do today, I want our audience to also try to learn to interpret those planet inside. Okay, what function of a Mercury, what's the function of a Mars, and when they are in one sign, what's the quality, what's the modality, or what's the element of that sign, and how to interpret it. Like we talk about is Mars in the Libra. So this Mars is not a fighting Mars, but if it need to fight, maybe it will fight in a rational way or through the kind of a Libra's legal way or through Libra's like a relationship or maybe through the people's networking. That's Mars in Libra's way to fight rather than like a physical fighting. But
Yeah.
there is something pretty interesting because if this first time is correct, then we will have the Sun and Venus conjunct the IC. We haven't talked about too much about that, but I think last couple times we did talk about four angle, about ascendant, descendant, MC, IC, are the four area of like kind of a very important part of the chart. So in Nikola Tesla's chart, he has a Sun and the Venus on the IC on the one of the angle. And this is the area about the family, about the root, about the, kind of his background and about his sense of belonging. Also, it gives when we do the chart reading, this Sun and the Venus will take an important role just because it's locating in this place.
Yeah.
And also, we haven't talked about Pluto, but he has said if this time is correct, we will have a Pluto on the ascendant. We haven't talked about Pluto yet, but this is a interesting planet, to be honest.
Especially to have it right there on the ascendant.
Yeah. If Pluto is right on the ascendant, well, I mean, what should I say? This Pluto kind of play a tricky role, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, making him like his relationship with this world a little bit more challenge, more interesting. Yeah. So I mean, as sometimes as a astrologer, when we read the chart and we say a client Pluto on ascendant, we'll say, "Ooh, this would be fun."
I mean, as an astrologer, I don't know what your opinion, but as an astrologer, when I see this chart, the first thing I see is Pluto on the ascendant.
Yes, to be honest. And then you were just like, we will spend a lot of time talking about this Pluto around, not directly, around this Pluto.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it is quite interesting today. We try to use the Nikola Tesla's chart, not really just to prove astrology will. No, we don't really need to do that. But we are trying to learn how to do the interpretation of a planet in sign, Sun in Cancer and the Venus in Cancer and the Moon in Libra, Mars in Libra, and Mercury in Gemini. Well, I think after we learn a little bit more, soon we're talking about the Jupiter and the Saturn. These are a little bit, social planet that help us to develop our personality and our interaction with the society. And that is another level, another type of language. So
Yeah.
what we can do is like what our audience can do today is pick up a chart, any chart, and maybe I mean any person you are interested in, any celebrity or yourself or your friend's chart, and try to at least predict the Sun, Moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars and their sign, and how they express themselves, how this planet express, how those planets are developed in this person's life, even in your chart. And that would be very interesting work to do to start with. Or maybe in
Yeah.
another way, you can look, do you have any angular planet? Do you have any angular planet? Because this angular planet maybe play an important role in your life, like Nikola Tesla's Sun and the Venus, and and Pluto are all on the angular, and that is kind of a, I mean, when we read the chart, these three planets will kind of taking an important role. So, Alejo, what are you
For
going
sure.
to add it in this chart?
Sorry again?
What are you going to add anything in this Nikola Tesla's chart?
I mean, but this is what we know, that we could add the aspects and the rulerships, but should we talk about it or?
I think that would be too much, right? That would be too much for our beginner. But it would be very interesting because I know myself that I keep want to bring the aspect and the house in, but I think that would be a challenge for our audience. That I kind of I don't know. But why not? I mean, what do you want to share with them? That would be interesting, to inspire them.
Okay, so you see here is the sun,
Mm-hmm.
and up here it's Neptune. Can you show them?
Yes, here.
So they are linked by this line.
Yes,
This is
with a
called an
triangle.
aspect.
Yeah,
Yes, this is a supportive aspect.
yeah.
So this probably means that something of his identity, the sun,
The
is
sun.
linked to the idea of Neptune. And the idea of Neptune is again the idea of imagination, seeing something that
Yes,
people cannot see.
yes.
So I think that would be an interesting thing to think about also when we talk about his imagination. Like most people probably could first read, oh, this is a painter because it's Sun Neptune,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
could
like
be. Yeah,
he has a strong imagination.
yeah.
But we need to add more stuff. For the moment, we see that something about his identity gets connected with some subtle information that is in the air, but that most of
Mm-hmm.
us cannot really perceive. But his identity is merged with that, so he can this idea of the sun as a
Mm,
development. He
mm.
can see what he can become, right? And what's
Yeah,
missing, what's missing around. And adding to that, you were talking about Pluto and the ascendant, but
yeah,
you also see there's Uranus here, this one,
yeah,
Uranus
yeah,
on the house number 1.
yeah, yeah. Here we are.
So it's not as important as Pluto, but again, it's very important because it's in the house number 1. Anything that you have
Yeah,
in the first house is important.
yeah.
And this is the idea of the creative spirit, the scientist
Mm,
spirit. Yes, this idea of
yes,
using technology to improve the world. So
yes.
what we are seeing, and it's a theme that's building up. He has a lot of
Mm-hmm.
intuition. He has a lot of
Yes,
imagination.
yes.
He has a lot of rationality with the
Mm-hmm.
moon and the Mercury,
Yes.
and with Uranus in the first. He's not afraid of
Mm-hmm.
bringing something that nobody has thought before, because that's what Uranus do. Uranus
Yes,
brings the new into the world, right?
yes.
And because it's in the first, it's very strong in his chart, so he's changing the world as we know it.
Somehow I do feel this Uranus play a super important role, to be honest, because I think about his story, think about what he bring to us. It's a little bit
Yeah,
like, don't you think it's a little bit like Prometheus? Prometheus stealing
he
the
is.
fire to
Yes,
the people. He is that kind of figure. It's very interesting. And then he eventually living alone in his life is also have this figure. I don't know. We need to dig a little bit more into this chart because I wonder this this Uranus play a super important role because it fit his image so much, and I quite like this interesting way. He's really turn our life upside down. The life,
completely. Yeah,
the whole our life before Nikola Tesla and after Nikola Tesla is so different. To be honest, I think if he living longer, or he get a little bit more money, or he get more respect, I think we probably have a little bit more advance of technology, but who knows. Well, I
yeah. Who
think
knows?
today is
It
so interesting to yeah, sorry.
No, but we haven't discussed it yet. Also, I think it's interesting this Chiron here up here,
Uh-huh.
because Chiron, for we're moving forward just to inspire you. Okay,
Yeah.
Chiron is about a wound, something that we feel a
Yes.
kind of lack, right? And
Yes.
here it's right up in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
So it means that the way society has looked at him was
Yes.
wounding probably for him.
Yeah, a Chiron in Aquarius, a kind of a wounding, lonely genius.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a kind of interesting and yes, that Chiron is kind of how most people see it. Yes, people just feel sorry for him. I mean, because he's a genius, but he didn't really enjoy his create he the benefit he created. Well,
exactly. Yeah,
he enjoy his mind, he enjoy his creation, but he don't really enjoy the kind of money he bring in. And we all heard about story like he don't know he's not really good with his financial. So like eventually he didn't left a lot of money. But I think, hey, if you are alone, why you care about that? You know?
yeah. But he
Yeah,
he he died very poor, as far as I know.
I know. Yes, I know. And such unbelievable, such a genius and a lot of invention. But a lot of the things are not belong to him. His
Yeah,
copyright, his a lot of rights are, taken away by the businessmen, by those business working with him. Uh, that's how we see this Cairo, feel sorry for him,
yeah,
with his ability, with his creativity, but eventually not not much things for himself. And that is how we see a chart. But to be honest, to totally read a chart, we need a little bit. We need a house. We need to consider about like aspect. I really feel fascinating when you mentioned about the sun, try the Neptune in the Pisces, and this aspect is so interesting. I think it's like a guy, a person with a hero with a vision. A
yeah,
hero
exactly.
can
Yes,
see the future. He know what he want. He know what he want to bring this world, and he know he's sacrificing, or he know he's giving, because it's in
yes,
Pisces and in 12th house. Do you think he is like oh, Leo take an advantage for me? I probably think he'd rather think this is a the human's heritage rather than
yeah,
my my
exactly. Yes,
legacy.
I think so too. Yes, I think so too. Yeah,
Yeah. So, well, I don't know. We really, I mean, we really don't examine the whole chart, so too early to say too much thing. But there is a sense like this that when Sun try with Neptune and play a kind of interesting role in this way. I mean, because a lot of our Instagram and the YouTube follower for this series are the beginners, so we probably just talk about little bit like aspect to inspire rather than really blah blah just give you total challenge. But if you can try to interpret the sun, the planet in the sign, and if you see in the chart, although you don't know much about aspect, you can see the line between two planets. At least you can see these two planets has connection. And that in case you know the planet, what does that mean? Maybe these two planets have a power to influence each other, like how we read the sun trine Neptune. The Neptune's imagination has influence to his son, his vision, his identity, and there his a heroic journey. And this will be so interesting. I mean, slowly, step by step, we can really to read a chart. But I think today we should stop here because more about that, I think they had a. Well, thank you, Alejo. Always interesting when you read the chart, and when we working together, there is a lot of fun talking about astrology. You never feel tired. Alejo, but by the way, I mean tomorrow.
yes, something very important
Something very important. Tomorrow is Alejo's webinar for AOA UK, the astrology
of
for
happiness.
of happiness. Yes, I think when we're beginning to design this track, we just like, well, we are going to the body, we're going to psychology, we're going to a little bit of body, mind, and spirit. But look nowadays news. I think, to be honest, I think everyone should listen what Alejo say to find your happiness from your chart, and that would be so interesting. Well, thank you
Yeah, and I
for
should say I prepared it so that
yep.
people from different levels of knowledge can follow it.
Lovely, lovely. That would be so nice. Yes. Well, I think today's program is like this. Thank you for watching our YouTube channel, and also you can find me on my Instagram, AOAUKROD, and Alejo also is very active on his Instagram on the
Liminal Cosmos. It's written. I
LinkedIn.
don't know if this comes out. It's written
Yes,
there.
yes, I did. That's why I tried to mention it. Okay, see, have you seen this one? Let me know Cosmos, okay? If you don't know how to spelling, if your English as bad as me, well, this is how to find Alejo on Instagram. And if you have time, welcome to join us tomorrow. Alejo, tomorrow 1 p.m. UK time. Alejo going to talk about astrology of happiness. Well, before that, we will see each other next month, and also next week we have the another sign coming out to talk about the planet inside. Before that, see you. Let's stay tuned. Bye bye.
Take care. Bye bye.